So in this video, I'm going to explain why stretching isn't fixing your hip mobility and what you can do instead. Very, very simple. Probably take me 10-15 minutes. So yeah, if you've got any questions, stick them in the chat down below, anything specific to your injury, and I'll answer that as I go through it. So the first thing we need to understand, obviously, is why stretching isn't fixing your hip mobility. Now, what the big concept is bones versus muscles. So with a lot of the stretching routines you might have tried previously, a lot of it is focused around the muscles. So muscles around your hips, such as your glutes, your hamstrings, whatever else it may be. Now the problem with this is that what do muscles attach onto? Well, muscles attach onto bones. And if your bones aren't moving particularly well at your hip, so your pelvis and your femur, which we'll move on to in a second, then this can cause issues at the muscles. And so if we can get the bones moving a bit more smoothly, then a lot of the time it sorts out issues at the muscles. But what doesn't happen is the other way around. If you focus on the muscles, it definitely doesn't sort out issues at the bones. So the two bones at the hip that we need to focus on is is the pelvis and the femur. And I've actually got the pelvis with me here. So the pelvis is this bit of your hip, so that's front on, and then your glutes are obviously at the back here. But yeah, this is front on, and then your femur sits into either one of these. So you've got two femurs obviously, and that's the thigh bone. So the bone between your knee, and then it sits into the hip sockets. Now, if I draw this out in a very simple way, essentially the femur sits into the pelvis, as I said. So let's say this is the socket, and then this is head of your femur. Yeah, that's quite nice. So that's the pelvis, and then this is the femur. And essentially the head of the femur moves around in the acetabulum, which is essentially just this little cup here in the pelvis. So with the femur, we've got a few different movements. We've got internal rotation, so the femur internally rotating, moving towards the middle of your body, or it can externally rotate and move this way. So if we can get the femur moving smoothly in both of these directions, then it will sort out a lot of issues and tightness around your hip. So that's the first thing. The second thing then is actually how the pelvis moves as a whole. So we've got how the femur moves in the hip socket, and the pelvis can also do a few other things. So the pelvis can actually shift up and down like this. It can rotate, and then it can also roll back and forwards like this. And so again, if you imagine how many muscles tie into the pelvis, it's a lot. Glutes, hamstrings, quads, hip flexors, abductors, adductors, you name it. Then it will smooth out a lot of issues at the muscles, so to speak. So some really good options in terms of exercises. The first one is going to be pelvic tilts, which I can explain without a video demo because it's very, very simple. So you're going to lie on your back with your knees slightly bent, and then all you're going to do is you're going to imagine your pelvis is a bottle of water. And you're very gently going to tip that bottle of water forward, so roll your pelvis forward and then roll it back. What this will be doing at your lower back is your lower back will be flat into the floor when your pelvis is rolled back, and then as you roll your pelvis forward, you'll get a little bit of a gap underneath your lower back, between your lower back and the floor. And so we want to try create as little amount of tension in the lower back, and all the movement is coming from the pelvis. And so we get a nice smooth rolling forward, rolling back. As you roll forward, inhale smoothly through your nose, and then as you roll back and your lower back is flat into the floor, exhale smoothly through your mouth. And you can run through 2 to 3 sets of 5 to 10 breaths. That's a really nice one to start with, and it will calm the whole body down and calm your hips down. The second exercise is going to be, pen's a bit shit, is going to be scissor slides. So what you're going to do here is you're going to lie on your side next to a wall. So if the wall is here, you're going to lie with your head up here and come down here, and your knees are going to go like this. So 90 degrees, and then your feet are going to go flat on the wall. And then what you're going to do is you're very gently going to shift one leg over the bottom leg. So essentially that top leg over that bottom leg this way, backwards and forwards. It's not a great diagram, but I haven't got a video demo to hand. There's loads of videos on my channel about the scissors slide, so you can just go look it up. And again, 2 to 3 sets, 15 to 20 reps each side to get the pelvis shifting. So that movement that is up and down, sorry, not up and down, oh yeah, up and down, side to side like that. And then number 3 is where we're going to get the femur involved. So actually, again, if we think about this as the pelvis, get the head of the femur rotating in and rotating out. Yeah. So a simple exercise to do that would be the kickstand hinge. So kickstand, kickstand, hinge. So this is kind of like an RDL or Romanian deadlift or deadlift hinging movement where essentially we're getting our pelvis to move in space without our spine moving. So with the kickstand hinge, setup is you're going to stand on one leg to get your balance. You're going to bend your knee slightly to get your weight forward, and then you're going to hinge essentially like a staggered stance Romanian deadlift. Again, very hard to demonstrate on the whiteboard, but you can look through my channel, loads of different variations of the kickstand hinge there. But essentially what we're looking to do is, again, roll this pelvis forward in that bottom position so we get a massive stretch on the glutes, which are here without anything happening at the back. And you can do 2 to 3 sets of 5 to 10 reps each side. So that's exercise number 3. And you can do that circuit daily, 5 to 10 minutes, and it's going to have a massive impact on your hip mobility, and it'll be a lot more effective because obviously, again, we're moving bones instead of muscles. And if you can get the bones moving, it will be significantly more effective than just targeting the muscles. Just check in the chat. No, perfect, lovely. I have actually got time here. If I can actually just mess around with the camera, I can probably demonstrate the kickstand hinge quite simply. So I'll just pull that back. So yeah, scissor slide, pelvic tilt, fairly simple, but kickstand hinge is a little bit more tricky. Perfect, there we go. So, kickstand hinge. Very simply, stand on one leg. Let's do this leg actually. Stand on this leg, little knee bend, back foot goes down for support, hand on the glute, and then I'm going to hinge. So I'm going to come forward over this leg, and my weight is, essentially I'm falling forward. I'm not back here, I'm over here, get a massive stretch on the glute. The heel of my front foot is off the floor, so I'm that far forward. Hold it for a few seconds in the bottom position, and then back up to the top. So slight knee bend, down on the other leg, back leg for a little bit of support. There we go. And then hinging, 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 hinging as deep as I can while maintaining neutral back, and then back up to the top. Again, my weight here is quite far forward. It's not back, so I get a big stretch in my glute. If my weight is back, I'll feel it in my hamstrings. Perfect.